Hi everyone, TJ of TJ Wright Quilts here, and I'm going to show you how to do strip piecing and how to keep your seam straight. Sometimes it's difficult when you go to press them to get the seams to stay straight, but there's one simple tool that you can use when you're pressing that'll make all the difference, and I'm going to show you what that is. I have my machine threaded with a 50 weight thread with the thread to the back, and I have a 1/4 of an inch foot on here. I'm using a Bernina 790B, and this is the piecing foot 37D that I'm using. And my stitch length is just the default stitch length at 2.5. There's also a little mark here for the 1/4 of an inch. I try to stay just a scant off of that. Everybody's scant is a little bit different. And I recommend that you find what yours is so that you know where your foot needs to be lining up on the edge of your fabric for precise piecing. We're sewing these two pieces together with the fabric. So now we have our two strips of fabric sewn together. Now that we have sewn our two strips with the fabric together using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, you can see what the results are. It creates this arc, and we want to get rid of that. We want to press these seams straight so that when we start cutting it up and subcutting it for our final piece, that all the seams are straight. So here is the secret weapon. I learned this trick from a really great quilter friend of mine. Her name is Kim Ratchford of Stitched in Purple, and she recommends using a metal ruler. So I went to the hardware store and I found this ruler. It is a 48-inch metal ruler, and I went with a longer one rather than a yardstick because we can be dealing with widths of fabric that are from 40 to 44 inches. So this would give me plenty of room, and then I can check the width of where I'm at on the ruler. So what we're going to do is we're going to push these strips of fabric that are sewn together up against the metal ruler, and we're going to press these seams flat, and it will magically get rid of the curve. I have my hot iron here, and I'm starting by pressing the seam straight before I open it up. And you'll want to keep your edge up against that metal ruler as you work down your seam. Now when we move our ruler away, you can see that it's nice and flat and straight. So let's take it up off of the pressing board, and look, it's still straight. It looks perfect. So I don't know if you are pressed to the dark side or press the seams open, but let's press to the dark side. You can also use your ruler for this. And this will also help keep your seams straight. I don't know if when you've pressed your seams open on a strip that sometimes they go a little wonky on you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that that seam allowance is going to the dark side. And I'm going to put my ruler on again, and we'll line up that stitch line. And you're going to see how this just makes life so much easier. I've been doing these strips for years and never thought of this idea. So I thought this would be something that would be useful to others. I'm just going to back it off just a little bit so that I can get the point of my iron down there on that seam. Let's start here so that the seam is nice and flat. I can see that this is just a wonderful tip. I don't know if you've ever had it where it has a tendency to bulge a little bit. And this just prevents any of that from happening. Give it a good press. Now sometimes I understand you're in the middle of a quilt and you don't want to take all that time to do that. But if you're wanting precision, that's what you do. And look at that. It's magic. Isn't that impressive? If you've liked what you've seen today, of course, we always love a like, a comment, and a follow. And a happy stitching.